Mega Man is considered by many to be one of the most beloved video game franchises of all time, and with good reason. The series is a great run-and-gun platformer that utilizes items and weapon abilities taken from bosses to proceed through the games. There have been numerous spin-offs, games inspired by the series, as well as adaptations in the form of cartoons and printed material. Today, we're taking a look at one such printed adaptation, and one that I've enjoyed the most, the Archie Comics series. Now I know people will point me towards the Megamix manga, and if I were to be honest, as of this video, I have not read it. I might at some point in the future. For the moment though, let's focus on Archie Mega Man, which I believe needs more attention. So today, I'm starting a retrospective that revisits this comic. All 55 issues. No wait, scratch that. It's actually all 48 issues. 7 of the Mega Man comics were dedicated to a crossover with Sonic the Hedgehog. More on that later. Longtime viewers of mine might note that I've already reviewed the entire Archie Mega Man series, but that was years ago, right when I was really starting to take reviewing seriously. I've grown a lot since those early days, and I'm eager to revisit this series with my current mindset. Even though I'm talking about a series that ended years ago, I'm still going to put a spoiler warning here, just in case. People might be curious about checking out this series in some manner. And with that, let's dive into the world of Archie Mega Man. So how did the Archie Mega Man series come about in the first place? Well, you can thank the Archie Sonic comic series. Long story short, Archie Sonic had lasted for years in publication, despite the quality of the stories being all over the place. For example, during its major dark period, there was a great story dealing with the idea of just slowing down and really enjoying life. Then a few issues later, there would be a story featuring an arranged marriage that to me was dull. And the art during this specific period was, oh boy. Things started turning around for the series at issue 160 when Ian Flynn was brought on board to be the head writer. The previous head writers, Carl Bollers and later Ken Penders, left due to behind-the-scenes shenanigans. And this is before the infamous copyright lawsuit for the record. Anyway, Flynn, being a Sonic fan himself, has managed to breathe new life into the book by streamlining it. This involved getting rid of unnecessary plot threads and characters, bringing back concepts with potential, and pretty much making the series fun again. Combine that with better quality art from the likes of Tracy Yardley, Matt Herms, Ben Bates, Evan Stanley, and Jamal Peppers to name a few, the book became bigger than ever. So much so, it was able to spawn a new ongoing Sonic spin-off series, Sonic Universe. Eventually, Archie Sonic's new lease on life would catch the attention of another video game company, Capcom. At least that's what I assumed happened. I mean, I doubt Capcom would reach out to Archie Comics if Archie Sonic was either cancelled or was still struggling. Anyway, when Capcom reached out to Archie Comics to license one of their IPs, it's not hard to guess which one. So during the 2010 New York Comic Con, Archie Comics announced a new Mega Man series to be released in the spring of 2011. Which is funny considering the state of the franchise at the time. For those unaware, during late 2010 and 2011, the Mega Man franchise was at a low point, with a number of cancelled games, and having longtime producer Keiji Inafune departing from Capcom. So having a Mega Man comic series come out around this time must have been a bright spot for fans during this period, and Archie Comics did not slack on the promotion of Mega Man, with reversible posters, and this pretty cool animated trailer.
Channel 8 News. We continue our coverage of a sudden robot attack in downtown. As you can see, the robots continue to cause massive damage after both the police and army were
Dr. Wily controls the airwaves now, and soon the world! My robot masters are unstoppable! I demand complete and immediate surrender from the world's leaders, and to be recognized as the greatest genius in the history of mankind!
Turn it off. It'll be okay. They'll stop him.
No, they won't. Nothing can stand up to the Robot Masters. Nobody can stop Wily now.
I'll do it.
You can't go as you are. I'll enhance your solar reactor. I will give you the best armor I can make. You will be faster, stronger. I never wanted this for you, but I also could not be prouder.
I've watched this trailer a lot back in the day, and each time, it got me hyped for the series. Another reason to be hopeful for this series, the writer was going to be Ian Flynn. Keep in mind, at this point, he was writing for the main Sonic book and Sonic universe, and now he had to handle a third series. If I recall, Ian himself admitted that he was a workaholic, and I don't doubt it. And it's not like he's lazy when it comes to this series. The guy's done his homework by watching Let's Plays, reading wikis, and utilizing stuff from Japanese manuals because he wanted this comic to be, quote, an extended love letter to the franchise. Also, the way Ian would go about writing this series would be different than that of Archie Sonic. See, the stories of Archie Sonic would be mainly original, with the occasional game adaptation here and there. That's due to the comics being an amalgamation of the games, cartoons, and original material, not to mention the various creative staff the books had throughout the years. With Archie Mega Man, Ian planned to follow the game's path, meaning he would do adaptations of the games in order, more or less, as well as having original stories to help flesh out this world. Ian wanted to show why Mega Man would react to certain game scenarios, kinda like a deconstruction of the games. Also, Ian wanted the series to focus on the theme of family, and we'll be seeing a lot of that as we go through the series. Anyway, let's begin the series with its first 4-issue arc, appropriately titled, Let the Games Begin. The first issue of the series begins with Mega Man already at the Wily Fortress from the first game, dodging the Big Eye enemies, and using Gutsman's weapon, Super Arm, to force his way inside. Right away, this opening says to Mega Man fans, don't worry, we know what you want, and we're giving it to you in style. Which brings us to the art. The penciling for the first 4 issues was done by Patrick Spaz Pesante, an artist who did many of the covers for the Archie Sonic series, as well as the occasional interiors. Combine that with Matt Herm's coloring, and we get a truly visual spectacle. Patrick, from what I've read, is also a Mega Man fan, and through this arc in particular, he, along with Ian, would sneak in some Easter eggs. For instance, when Mega Man enters the fortress, you can see a machine on the upper right corner. This is a Metal Porton, a machine that dispenses the common Mega Man enemy, the Mets. It's usually found in the 6th game if you're wondering. When Mega Man confronts another enemy, the infamous Yellow Devil, it's soon revealed that the comic is using the old how we got here trope, as the story takes us back to a few days earlier. It's a classic storytelling device. Hook the audience in with some action, then go back in time to see the events leading up to said action. Dr. Thomas Light is preparing to unveil a new series of robots to the public, with the help of his robotic children Rock and Roll, when soon Dr. Light's colleague Dr. Albert Wily shows up. He wants to be on stage for the unveiling along with Light, since he helped design the robots. However, Light disagrees. Wily's presence would lead to some negative press Light Labs doesn't need right now, all thanks to Wily doing some unethical robotic experiments in the past, and losing his credentials as a result. But Light sees the potential good Wily can do in the future to make up for his mistakes, and it seems things are resolved for now. Light heads on stage in front of a large crowd to begin his presentation. Even with robotics helping mankind create a better world, he believes pushing the boundaries of modern robotics would help achieve in his mind a perfect tomorrow for humans and robots. That's when he reveals the 6 Robot Masters, so named because of their advanced AI systems that will allow them to perform complex tasks, interact with people, and direct the lesser robots. Cutman will be in charge of forest management, Gutsman's in charge of land reclamation in hazardous conditions, Iceman will deal with Arctic exploration, Bombman will have demolition and excavation under his belt, Fireman will deal with waste management, and Electman will deal with power management. When Light starts taking questions, a robotic reporter named Ripbot points out Dr. Light's history of making robots like, say, the Sniper Joes, and wonders if the Robot Masters might also be used for military applications. Light states he's done building weapons, and that the Robot Masters are made to help humanity. That's when Wily leaves in disgust. This whole sequence shows us who these characters are from the get-go. Light is optimistic, and sees the potential good in everyone despite their missteps in life. And that includes himself and Wily. Wily is jealous. He wants the recognition for his work no matter what he did in the past, and plays Light like a sap by pretending to go along with the decision to stay out of the spotlight. And he already has plans for payback brewing in his mind. This panel when Wily leaves, after Light answering the question about weaponizing the Robot Masters. It can be interpreted in a couple of ways. Wily's angry that Light's using the robots he helped design for peaceful purposes. He could also be disgusted at the apparent hypocrisy when Light was being called out for his past actions in building military robots, when earlier, Light would not allow Wily on stage with him due to unethical robotic experiments. On a more lighthearted note, Light's children rock and roll. Yes, I know about their names. Classic Mega Man tends to use musical terms for character names. Anyway, they are indeed the helper robots Light intended them to be, even offering to tend to Wily while he came to confront Light. As for the Easter eggs in this scene, there's an 8-bit Light on the podium. The profiles of the Robot Masters resemble a typical stage select screen, though I should note, the placement of the Robot Masters is a bit off. Then there are the reporters. Ripbot, the robot that asks Light about weaponizing the Robot Masters, is from the racing game Mega Man Battle and Chase, where he's a reporter alongside his colleagues Chest and Plum. In fact, you can see Chest and Plum alongside Ripbot in the crowd representing the B and C Gazette. Also in the crowd is this person that bears a heavy resemblance to Neige, the human reporter from the spin-off series Mega Man Zero. She appeared in the 4th game if you're wondering. Either she's traveled into the past to witness this historic event, or it's an identical ancestor. Likewise, next to her is a reporter that looks just like the catalog's TV reporter from Mega Man Legends, just with a different colored shirt. Finally, there's this line from Wily: Light makes right. I have a feeling it's a light jab, pardon the pun, at Capcom localization, like how sometimes things are mistranslated. The night after the presentation, Light is trying to relax when Rock and Roll bring up what the reporter said about building robots for war and how it made Light uncomfortable. Light explains to his children that he was ashamed of that part of his past, but it was necessary in order to get the funds to build Light Labs. And once he built the two of them, he saw what robotics were really capable of when they're presented as more than just tools. This heartwarming scene is intercut with scenes of Wily strolling right into the lab and reprogramming the 6 Robot Masters to serve him. This again highlights the established personalities of these two doctors, Light's optimism and Wily taking what's rightfully his. The reason Wily was able to walk right in is because of Light's trusting nature. He did not consider the possibility of his friend and colleague doing something like this. He'll soon learn because the next morning, Roll wakes him up with news that the Robot Masters are gone. Things get worse when Rock tells Light to turn on the news pronto. The broadcast shows the missing Robot Masters attacking the city and authorities being unable to stop them. That's when Wily interrupts the broadcast, stating his robots will continue to wreak havoc on the world unless all its leaders surrender to him and recognize him as the greatest genius in the history of mankind. This guy's ego. Light's undoubtedly shocked by this revelation, and while Roll reassures him that Wily will be stopped, Light counters that the Robot Masters were built to a new standard, meaning no one can stop them. It looks hopeless until Rock volunteers to take up the task. He knows what Wily's doing is wrong, and since Light built him and Roll similar to the Robot Masters, it'd be easier to alter him for combat. And to put Light's mind at ease, he'll try to get the Robot Masters to stop being bad first. But if he has to fight, he'll fight. It's the only way to help everyone at this point. Light agrees, and he and Roll immediately get to work on modifying Rock, enhancing his solar reactor, building the strongest armor possible, creating his iconic Mega Buster weapon, and installing the copy chip and variable tool system, which will allow Rock to copy an enemy's weapon. As Light puts the finishing touches on Rock, he states that he's proud of what his Robo-Son's doing, and now that he's different, he needs a new name. Rockman is out of the question because he won't be using rocks, at least not as a default weapon, nor any musical related attacks. Also, meta-wise, while we don't know where Light Labs is in the comic universe, this is a Western comic, and thus it cannot utilize the Japanese name. Rock decides to use his weapon, the Mega Buster, as the basis for his new name, and thus Mega Man is born. Though from this point forward, I will switch back and forth between the names Rock and Mega Man when talking about our blue hero. These final moments of issue 1 highlight what Rock is all about. He has a strong sense of justice and wants to help people. He was made as a helper robot. He's just now going to do it on a larger scale. Plus, he is following Light's philosophy. Earlier when he was talking to his children, Light said that he will only use violence only as a last resort, and thus Mega Man will do the same. He will only fight if there is no other choice, but he would rather find a peaceful solution first. And Light knows that if Rock's going to do this, he needs to be ready just in case convincing the robots to stop fighting doesn't work. This whole thing is pretty much an expansion of the backstory established in the game's manuals and the 4th game. Yes, Mega Man 4 shows our hero's origin story. To be fair, when the original game was released, Capcom didn't have much faith in the project. It was only after the success of the 2nd game that the series really took off. Speaking of Mega Man 4, at first I did find it odd that the charge shot, introduced in that game, appears in an adaptation of the 1st game. But then as I read on, I realized Ian was going for a retelling of the 1st game with elements of its remake, Mega Man Powered Up, sprinkled in. That game does have the charge shot, but you get it when you beat every stage on normal. Issue 2 starts with a couple of soldiers hiding among the destruction. Yes, one of them has a purple mohawk. I guess it's okay in that universe. They witness Mega Man teleporting in and thinking he's another robot sent to attack the city. Far from it, my friends. Light informs Mega Man on the comms that after reviewing the robot's designs, he has the best chance of disabling Bomb Man first, much to the Blue Hero's dismay. The soldier guys overhear the conversation, with one of them being amazed that Mega Man's fighting for the humans, while the purple Mohawk soldier believes it's all a trick, and they should deal with him now. Their argument didn't go unnoticed. Mega Man gives a quick introduction before he heads off to do his thing. Remember this moment for later. The journey to Bomb Man's a bit rough, as Mega Man has to contend with a bunch of fleet enemies, and a mysterious figure with a shield. Light, who's monitoring from the lab, thinks the figure is someone named Blues, but upon closer inspection, it's actually a Sniper Joe, the same robots mentioned in the last issue. Also, Blues? Hiding something, Dr. Light? Light advises Mega Man to avoid the Sniper Joe and head down towards Bomb Man. Good idea because those things are a pain. Mega Man confronts Bomb Man, and Bomb Man actually compliments Rock on his new look and landing. The 3-point superhero landing in case you're wondering, before he begins bombing our hero. Mega Man cannot get through to him, and is forced to disable him with one charged shot. Light instructs the saddened Mega Man to copy Bomb Man's weapon, Hyper Bomb, by simply touching him. And we get an explanation of how Mega Man's variable tool system works. He can use Hyper Bombs, but can't use the Mega Buster at the same time. This is something longtime Mega Man fans know about, but it's a nice bit of exposition for newcomers. Though I should point out, Mega Man 8's the exception to this rule. Light reassures Mega Man that Bomb Man will be repaired, and teleports him to the quarry where Guts Man's located. As Mega Man goes through enemies like the Metars, the Bladers, and the Picket Man, Light is starting to understand Wily's MO. He uses the Robot Masters to secure an area, then he reprograms the lesser robots in that area. He reluctantly tells Mega Man to destroy the lesser robots. This upsets Mega Man further as they're innocent. But as Light points out, It's a kill or be killed situation. This especially rings true when he finally reaches Gutsman. And we see for the first time how boss doors work in this continuity. Gutsman is so tough, regular Mega Buster shots bounce off him no problem, and Mega Man doubts a charge shot would work. So out comes the Hyper Bomb. Once Gutsman's down, Mega Man copies Super Arm and tells Light to send him to where the next Robot Master, Cutman, is located. As he goes through the area, we see that Mega Man is becoming a bit cold and emotionally detached, to the point where he's identifying himself as Mega Man, Destroyer of Robots. Light was worried that this might happen. He explains to Roll that Rock was made with Light's peaceful ideals, but he chose to fight in order to help others, and by doing so, he's going against his nature by fighting others of his kind, and it's taking its toll. Roll sees all of this as Wily's fault. Mega Man doesn't need to blame himself for doing all this in order to help people. In fact, she tells her brother he's better than he thinks he is during his fight with Cutman. Oh, and it's during this fight that we're introduced to Cutman's never-ending series of puns. Mega Man even tries and fails to do one himself after defeating Cutman with Super Arm, much to his embarrassment. It does show that Roll's talk got through to him. He is better and focused. Once he's copied Rolling Cutter, he's ready to take on the final 3 Robot Masters, and then Wily. This brings us to the end of the issue where Wily's monitoring the situation. He orders some Blader robots to recover Cutman's body, and we learn that he's done the same with Bomb Man and Gutsman. I wonder where this is leading to. Before moving on to issue 3, let's quickly talk about the main plot points here. Mega Man's internal conflict, and how it's affecting him emotionally. Since this is the first time he's doing this sort of thing, of course he would be affected by this decision to essentially hurt robots in order to help humans. It took a pep talk from his sister Roll to snap him out of his funk. She reminded him that his heart, for lack of a better term, is in the right place. This further emphasizes the family aspect the series is conveying, and we are far from done. Easter egg wise, if you look at Light's monitoring screen, you'd see things normally found on a game's pause screen. The 8-bit Mega Man, the Mega Man head that's generally used as a 1-up icon, the health bar, the energy of his collected weapons, and E-tanks if Mega Man has any. And then there's the screen on the top left resembling the first game's stage select, with the Robot Masters in the proper position this time. Oh, and Mega Man's going in the weakness chain order, starting with Bomb Man, then using Hyper Bomb against Gutsman, and then Super Arm against Cutman. This is one of the staples of the franchise, using the correct weapon against the boss in order to defeat them quickly. The comic won't stick to this idea, but then of course it is an adaptation. Things have to change in order to accommodate a particular medium. But for now, the weakness chain continues as we head over into issue 3. Dr. Wily's in contact with Electman, who's using his powers at the power plant to create electric obstacles for Mega Man. A nice explanation for the electric blocks seen in the game. It doesn't stop Mega Man as he reaches the top. He's looking a little more confident this time around, almost cocky. It doesn't stop him from tossing Rolling Cutter into Electman, much to Wily's frustration. Realizing that Mega Man's more dangerous than he thought, Wily not only sends recovery robots to pick up Electman, he prepares 2 more sets just in case Iceman and Fireman are taken out. After copying Thunderbeam, Mega Man's immediately sent to the water treatment plant where Iceman awaits. At the lab, Roll is noticing Mega Man's overconfident behavior, and that might make him forget what he's supposed to do. Light, who's working on a device, tells Roll not to worry. Yet. Yeah, so far aside from his cockiness, he's still going after the Robot Masters, and once he reaches Iceman, he easily takes him out with Thunderbeam. Once again, he's immediately sent to the next destination, the location where Fireman's at, after getting Ice Slasher. Mega Man's getting a bit frustrated that he's quickly being sent from place to place, and yeah, it's not looking good for him. Not helped by the fact that his cockiness is making him a bit more reckless, and he's getting into the mindset that every time he copies the power, he's starting to believe he's becoming more and more invincible. To be fair, that's how real-life players feel as they're making progress through the games. But in this universe, it is a bit concerning. I mean, Mega Man's fight with Fireman's a joke, taking him down with Ice Slasher before Fireman can even finish monologuing. As Mega Man's acquiring Firestorm, Dr. Light places him in a containment field and brings him back to the lab. Mega Man has had enough. He thinks Light is ungrateful because of his treatment here, and tries to break out of the containment field with every weapon he's got while ranting. His attitude changes upon seeing Roll getting upset and running away in terror. Mega Man breaks down, begging Light to take away his weapons and saying he is now just as bad as Wily. Light goes to comfort his boy. He's been given a huge burden to save the world, and all that power has gone to his head. Now Light is sharing the burden by making sure Mega Man doesn't go too far. As he quietly notes, he doesn't want to lose another beloved creation. Gee, I wonder who he's thinking of. Light tells Rock that in order to stop Wily, he needs to hold on to the weapons a little longer, and once it's all said and done, they'll be removed. Light even gives Mega Man a new tool to use, emphasis on tool, the magnet beam. While Rock apologizes to Light, the person who he really should apologize to is Roll, which he does. And Roll responds by giving Rock a well-deserved verbal lashing, mainly because she has to clean up his mess. And she does so while Light gives Rock a tune-up and download all the data he's collected. It seems Mega Man has copied more than just weapon data, but the movements of the Robot Masters. Light then uses this information to pinpoint Wily's possible location, the factory where the Robot Masters were made. He informs Mega Man that chances are Wily modified that place into a fortress and installed scramblers, meaning our hero cannot teleport directly inside. Once Mega Man's tune-up is complete, Dr. Light and Roll wish him luck, and he's teleported to just outside the fortress. Well, we're back at the beginning of the arc. In a smart move, the comic changes things to Wily's perspective. As he monitors Mega Man's approach, he's angry at Light for sending, in his mind, a knockoff to take him down. And with this final shot of Wily surrounded by the repaired Robot Masters, he's pretty much saying to Mega Man, bring it on. The main takeaway of this issue is Mega Man getting a bit confident, cocky, and reckless as he's going through the remaining Robot Masters and getting their powers. It shows that if one is given powerful abilities in order to change the world, there is a chance it can go to one's head, and it might hurt himself and those around him. We once again see the genius of Dr. Light, as he knows this is happening and has prepared accordingly. That's probably why he had Mega Man go after the remaining Robot Masters fast. By the way, I do like the contrast between his fight with half the Robot Masters in this issue compared to the ones in the previous issue. He was hesitant and distracted when facing off against Bomb Man, Guts Man, and Cut Man, thus those fights being a little more difficult, and when he was confident and cocky, his fight with Electman, Iceman, and Fireman went by quickly. And like I said earlier, we're still following the weakness chain. I think the big problem here is, it moved a little bit too fast. That's the consequence of writing within a 4-issue arc that would later be released in a trade paperback. We'll see more of this later. Anyway, switching from a downer distant mood to overconfident and reckless, in pretty much a blink of an eye, was a bit jarring. All for the sake of getting everyone to the emotional climax of the issue. I will admit for the most part, it kinda works. It would have been better if there was more of a stronger build-up, and more importantly, actually show Roll getting upset during Mega Man's tantrum. We see Mega Man's reaction, and Roll running away, but not Roll's face during this moment. To me, it would have been impactful to see a panel of Roll's face. Maybe just a close-up of her teary eye. Now I'm not as upset about this as I was years ago, because, to jump ahead a bit, there is a panel in the next issue showing Mega Man remembering Roll's terrified face. And we see it. Just wish it was shown at this moment. Bottom line, this whole scene was made to explain why Mega Man would give up his game-specific weapons after foiling Wily's schemes. As Light was comforting Rock, there's actually an Easter egg here that real hardcore Mega Man fans might spot. The words he said to Rock are in fact lyrics to the song Message from Dr. Light by the Mega Man inspired band The Megas. Of course, Message from Dr. Light, the term, comes from Mega Man 2, when the doc gives our hero a new item. Which brings me to how Mega Man got the magnet beam in this adaptation. See, in the original game, the magnet beam would be found in a Electman stage, and you would need Super Arm in order to get it. And magnet beam is required to finish the game, as I'll explain later. Since the original way of getting the magnet beam was complicated, my guess is for this adaptation, Ian simplified things by giving Mega Man the magnet beam in a similar manner to how Mega Man would get many of the items in the games, having Light give him the item after defeating certain robot masters. Wily's first fortress actually being a converted factory. This is actually true to the games because originally Wily's first base was not a Skull Fortress. It's actually Dr. Wily's robot manufacturing plant. The idea being Wily manufacturing robots to take over the world, including possibly copies of the robot masters. As you can see here, these Gutsman statues might actually be work in progress copies. Of course, in this comic, there are no copies of the original robot masters, just the same ones fully repaired and ready to fight Mega Man. And as you can see here, for this comic, Wily converted the factory into a full-on Skull Fortress like he does in many of the games. Now it's hard to tell with this image, so here's a better one. You can see that the converted factory kinda resembles the second Wily Fortress and the first one to feature a skull motif from Mega Man 2. It would have been nice if Ian and Patrick utilized the actual robot manufacturing plant design and maybe add a small skull on the front, but fans these days are more familiar with Wily's bombastic skull fortresses. Other Easter eggs include this pose Mega Man's doing right here. It's a shout out to the Mega Man 3 North American box art and the first Game Boy game since it recycles that art. And then there's the level specific enemies like the Tackle Fire here. The lesser enemies would be the least of Mega Man's problems, because as we start issue 4, we are back to the showdown with the Yellow Devil. Mega Man's about to shoot in the eye with Thunder Beam until he remembers Roll's reaction to him going power mad. So he's going to fight it with his ordinary Mega Buster. That's pretty bold considering that in the actual game, Yellow Devil is weak to Thunder Beam. No matter what weapon he uses, the only way to take this thing out is to aim for the eye. Once the Yellow Devil's done, Mega Man knows it's a teleporter and believes he can use it to go deeper into the fortress without trouble. Oh Mega Man, you naive fool. We fans know that these type of teleporters are only used to take you to a rematch with the Robot Masters, usually one at a time. Here though, the teleporter takes him to a room where all the Robot Masters are waiting for him. The odds are 6 to 1, even with Mega Man having all of their weaknesses. So what does our hero do? He actually stops the fight so he can try to once again reason with them. He says what they're doing, helping Dr. Wily take over the world, is wrong, and they're wasting their true talents. He offers to take them back to Light Labs to be fixed. Believe it or not, some like Cutman and Fireman are actually considering this possibility, while some like Electman are dedicated to the Destroy Mega Man program, and Gutsman and Iceman want payback for their humiliating defeat. It soon erupts into a 6-way fight between the Robot Masters, allowing Mega Man to sneak away. He continues his journey through Wily's fortress. At one point, he uses the Magnet Beam to move safely across a floor of spikes. No doubt a nod to a section of the first Wily stage where you can use the Magnet Beam to bypass spikes, before getting to the part where you have to use the item to proceed. This is what I was talking about earlier regarding the Magnet Beam being a required item. Mega Man enters a multicolored room, and it turns out to be a trap. Wily monologues about how Light is so clever when he created the variable tool and copy chip for Mega Man, and in an attempt to one-up him, he'll just copy Mega Man wholesale. Physically, that is. Program-wise, it's firmly on Wily's side. The copy robot has every weapon Mega Man has, so if Mega Man uses the Mega Buster, it too will use the Mega Buster. If he uses Super Arm, so too will the copy bot. And you can pretty much see how this plays out. This is true to the boss fight seen in the original game. What's also true to the original fight is that the copy robot cannot use the Magnet Beam, and it's that which gives Rock a bit of a breather. Two theories why copy robot cannot use Magnet Beam. 1. Wily's been observing Mega Man and knows he's been copying all of the Robot Masters. He probably put that into account when preparing Copy Robot. Plus, he has access to the original Robot Masters and their powers. He did not witness Mega Man copying the Magnet Beam, and or did not know how to incorporate it into CopyBot. Theory number 2. The Magnet Beam is a tool only, and it would not be a good offensive weapon against Mega Man. Whatever the case, Mega Man is safe for the moment. Good thing too, because that's when the 6 Robot Masters burst into the room. With the directive to destroy Mega Man in full effect, they do just that by destroying the Copy Robot. With their objective fulfilled, they are now much friendlier with Rock. However, they can't help him capture Wily because they are currently programmed to not directly oppose him. Plus, between their infighting and destroying Copy Robot, they're out of ammo. Wily then decides to deal with Mega Man personally in his first Wily machine. During the fight, he gives Mega Man the old "reason you suck" speech. What it comes down to is, Mega Man's not a real super fighting robot, just a mere janitor that wasn't worth the effort of kidnapping when he took the other robots.
What's this? Helper robot? You're just a pile of scrap metal with no special abilities!
Mega Man throws some words back at Wily as he counterattacks. That he has a father and a sister that loves and supports him, and Wily had to steal the robots for the glory, and even that was halted by a mere janitor. Mega Man's triumphant moment is ruined when he runs out of weapon ammo. Wily thinks he's won due to his machine being operational enough for a getaway. But Wily forgets that Mega Man still has his default Mega Buster, and with one charge shot, Wily Machine 1 is finished. Underneath the wreckage, Wily begrudgingly congratulates Light with successfully using brute force against his genius. But he will die knowing that he was the better scientist in the long run. Mega Man proves Wily wrong by getting him out of the wreckage, showing once again underneath all of that armor and weapons, he's still a helper robot. As soon as the 6 Robot Masters reappear, Wily, the ungrateful jerk that he is, orders them to destroy Mega Man. But they can't because that programming was satisfied earlier by destroying CopyBot. And with Wily essentially confirming that CopyBot was good enough to fool the programming, yeah, he lost this one. As the group leave the fortress, contact with Light Labs is re-established. Mega Man lost contact when he originally entered the fortress, if you're wondering. With Wily captured and Mega Man bringing the Robot Masters home for repairs, it looks like a nice happy ending here. As far as adaptations go, Let the Games Begin is a great one for the first Mega Man game. It helped that the original game's plot was bare bones. Thus, it was easy to expand on the manuals and backstory. As I keep saying, things had to change in order to work in a new medium, and this issue's no different. I didn't mind them here. The Robot Master rematch would have been repetitive despite being 6-on-1, and that scene shows that the Robot Masters were just as much victims of Wily as the people they've attacked in his name. Oh, remember the powered up incorporations? I'd like to point out Fireman's knack for justice, and speech patterns that make him sound like a cowboy. That was pretty much his personality in the remake, and that's just one example. Having the Wily Machine 1 battle move to the Copy Robot room does speed up the climax, but that means Wily's third stage, an underground water area, along with its boss, CWU-01P, doesn't appear at all, at least in this arc. The first final fight is a good representation of Light and Wily's philosophies. Light, and Mega Man by extension, had to use violence against Wily because Wily gave them no other choice. And once Wily was defeated, Mega Man chose to be the helpful robot Light intended him to be. Also, kudos to the comic for making Wily defiant to the end, unlike his game counterpart, who begs for mercy when Mega Man defeats him every single time. And props to Comic Mega Man for apprehending Wily on his first outing. In the game, after defeating Wily, the Doctor's fate is unknown as it goes straight to the credits. It is odd that Wily's going to prison considering that the series has more adaptations that have him as the main antagonist. Well, that's because he has a contingency plan. Near the end of issue 4, as Light and Roll celebrate Mega Man's victory, They're secretly being watched by 2 more robot masters under Wily's control, and they head off to enact their master's backup plan. What this plan is, and the identity of these 2 robot masters, would be answered in the series' next story arc, Time Keeps Slipping. And that was part 1 of this retrospective series. Originally, the plan was to do the entire comic series in one video, but since I'm pretty much a one-man crew, and for the sake of time, energy, and sanity, I ultimately decided to spread this out across multiple videos. As of this video's release, I have scripted and recorded enough material up to about halfway through the series. And like I said before, I'm covering the 48 issues that make up the series proper. Even without the crossover issues with Sonic, that's still a lot. Anyway, be on the lookout for part 2, which will cover the Time Keeps Slipping arc. Hopefully it'll be out sometime in the near future. I'll see you then.